GameTime Live, presented by State Farm. Happy Saturday night. Great to be with you. The NBA Jam, Tough Juice, Karan Butler, Sekou Smith. I'm Jared Greenberg. Why aren't you making eye contact with me, Sekou?
Because I don't know what you got up your sleeve over there. I don't know, Karan. I don't know.
Let's review what happened in a big Friday night in the NBA. There was a lot of movement in the standings, and there were some statements made, none bigger than the final game last night from the 2 versus 3 in the West, where the Clippers look like the team, Karan, that we thought they would be. Everybody was out there. They were playing. They go and beat the Denver Nuggets 132-103. Had Michael Malone saying all sorts of things after the game, like they took it seriously, we didn't. What a performance by the Clippers.
Look, they're more than capable of performing like this when everyone is healthy. When you think about offensively and also connected on the defensive end of the floor.
Look at the bench here. 73 points by these Clippers last night.
No two ways about it. They beat the brakes off the Nuggets. And they had Michael Malone publicly questioning his team's toughness, which is always, to me, that's a warning sign that either something has slipped from whatever you've been doing or he's trying to light a fire under somebody. They don't have that one guy that you look to when things get tight in Denver. Who's the guy that's going
to get you a bucket?
Well, and who's the guy that's going to snatch somebody else by the collar and say, let's get it? They don't have that one guy. You know, Paul Millsap's a great leader, but he's quiet. Yeah. He's a reserve guy. He's not going to go out there shouting and screaming. I'm wondering who's going to step into that void for the Nuggets, because if they want to make any noise in the Western Conference playoffs, they're going to have to go through either the Clippers or the Lakers at some point.
Yeah, and you mentioned Millsap, and he's no longer, I think, like the top 2 best players on the team.
Right.
And also, I think that the tale of the Denver Nuggets has been the same for the last couple of years. They're really good or great at home, rather, and then on the road, they struggle at times. And you're not going to be able to be, realistically, you're not going to be able to win a championship without being just as good as you are at home on the road. And let's just face it, when you see the Clippers healthy, you see all those guys out there, Lou Williams, Reggie, all those guys, just the continuity immediately clicking on the offensive end of the floor and defensively, they're going to be a tough out for anybody.
What did last night teach you more? Did it teach you more about the Nuggets and alarming because it's an issue and the things that Coach Malone said, calling his team soft? Or did it teach you more, Karan, about who the Clippers really are?
Look, I think you have to give credit first to the winning team. So I would start with the Clippers. It taught me a lot about the Clippers. When healthy, they can beat anybody, and I mean anybody. And when you see them in the way that they're clicking on the offensive end of the floor and defensively, because I think they're a team that's going to really hang their hat on the defensive end of the floor. They acquired certain guys. When you talk about Reggie Jackson, you're talking about Morris and Senior and getting him over there with the team and just being connected immediately. That's impressive to watch. When you look at the Denver Nuggets, I just don't see it on the road. I don't see the sense of urgency and the same thing as you touched on, the toughness.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, too, last night with Reggie Jackson back on the bench with Patrick Beverley playing. Reggie would make a good play. They'd call timeout, and the first guy congratulating Reggie Jackson on the court, Patrick Beverley. So there's that continuity starting to be built by a team that doesn't have much of it because they haven't played that many games together. One of the more fun games to watch last night as we review the top stories from Friday night in the NBA was the duo or the battle between Bradley Beal and Donovan Mitchell last night. Utah wins it, ending a 4-game losing streak. Bradley Beal goes off for 42 points. Donovan Mitchell had one of the dunks of the night last night in the NBA.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell has been on this grind for a couple games here now where he's going directly at whoever the other star is on the other side, just playing with a viciousness to me and kind of a griminess that I love to see out of Donovan Mitchell, because I think he's not as assertive as he needs to be on a consistent basis to really dominate games. If he plays like this all the time, that changes my entire view of what the Utah Jazz could be capable of.
Yeah, and look, I just went up to Washington last week, had a chance to sit down with Bradley Beal and John Wall. John Wall looks amazing for the record. Saw him participate in the practice. He was the second best player on the floor, easily.
Wow.
Hands down. And when you look at Bradley Beal, the one thing that I was telling him, or asking him rather, was how do you feel, not making the All-Star team? He said, you know what, I have come out after All-Star and just show that I belong and show his value. And that's exactly what he's been doing. Playing at an amazing clip offensively, and his production has been great when you talk about knocking out perimeters. He's not just relying on the perimeter shot. and also he's facilitating, making his guys better. Now, it hasn't resulted to wins, but his production's been off the chart.
Let's keep on moving to Milwaukee, your home city.
Let's go.
Tonight, they didn't just put it on Oklahoma City. They beat them down, led by as many as 51 points, ended up winning by 47 points, the largest margin of victory this year in an NBA game, 133-86. And they did it without Chris Middleton. He sat out with a neck injury. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 32 points, 13 rebounds, and 6 assists.
Must have worked on his skills.
It is the ninth.
How many minutes?
It is that's where I'm going. It is the ninth game this season where Giannis has scored 30 or more playing fewer than 30 minutes of basketball. That's an NBA record. Nobody's ever scored more than 30 points in less than 30 minutes that many times in an NBA season.
Listen, we've been heard people complaining about Giannis' skill level, right?
Who's people?
James Harden. Let's just say it. So he talked about Giannis' skill level. Mm-hmm. I would tell you that to dominate games the way Giannis does takes an immense amount of skill. You can't just be 7 foot tall and run around and dunk and do what he did. To have 9 games, Jared?
9 games.
9 games going for 30 plus
in less than
30 minutes. Think about that. Anytime you make a list with Wilt Chamberlain, it's impressive. Anytime you make a list and Wilt's not on it or anybody else,
just you,
then we're talking about another stratosphere. So I'll take that unskilled 7-foot dunker over anybody right now in terms of how they're playing and what they're doing for their team right now in the NBA.
Yeah, it's crazy to me because, look, he has a ton of skill, and I watched Giannis come in as a young buck. Funny we're talking about the Bucks, but like come in as a young fella.
You can't laugh at your own joke.
It's a major funny. D.L. Hewley does it all the time. I had to laugh at it. So he comes in as a young buck. He's still my rookie, and he's done a remarkable job at, you know what, just working hard, developing his skill. And I said it last night. I know a lot of guys that can't chew bubble gum and walk. Giannis is a guy that, exercised the right to continue to work hard on his craft, and now he's trending in the right direction. He's the reigning MVP, probably going to win it again this year, and he's accelerated his game, so it's impressive to watch.
Let's move on to one of the best duos or young duos in basketball right now, at least of late, and that is Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. For the 10th straight game, Zion dropped 20. That's the 10th straight game, right? Most 20-point games consecutively since a rookie, since Donovan Mitchell did it several years ago. Pelicans have now won 6 of their last 8. And with the win last night and Memphis's loss, the Pelicans, count it, 2 games back in the loss column of 8th place.
It's been extremely impressive to watch Zion pick up everything as quickly as he has. But I would tell you this, if somebody had told you that you'd make this deal and move Anthony Davis, a move that, a lot of folks in New Orleans did not want to see happen, but that you would get an all-star and potentially a future all-star and MVP out of the deal.
Right.
Out of whatever comes in the aftermath of that. You'd be jumping around, running through the streets, going crazy. This is the nucleus for New Orleans, to me, of what should be the duo that carries them for the next generation here. This should be the basis of whatever they're going to do in the next few years. It's going to have to start with Zion and Brandon Ingram playing well together. These two guys with a synergy that makes them one of the top duos in a league filled with dynamic duos.
Yeah, look, I was wondering how would they coexist with one another because I felt like Brandon Ingram was shining more playing at that 4 position. Offensively, he was able to attack the 4s that couldn't stay with him, couldn't move their feet, and sometimes they was in a cross match. Sometimes you got the 5 guarding them. Then Zion comes back, and everybody's like, Zion's getting all this praise. Imagine this. You're sitting out half the season. You're not in the best shape. You had a procedure on your knee, and you're still able to do what? Still be physical with guys, still out-jump them, get to balls first, and finish around the rim better than the majority of the individuals that had the whole entire season playing at their optimum condition. So it's just amazing to see what he's able to do just on the strength of his raw talent. Now, mind you, he still have, another 20 games plus to still get in great shape, and they're competing for a playoff spot. So, look, he has a realistic chance at being that other guy to play one of the fewest amount of games in NBA history next to Patrick Ewing and have a realistic shot at winning Rookie of the Year.
And we'll get into that conversation a little later on. You look at what he's been able to do to put them in contention here.